The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.
Welcome to How to Money with Cole and Cole.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Cole and Cole. I am Baileigh Ashbrook, and I'm with Cole Jaskey, and we are both on vacation recovery mode.
Yeah, yes, we are. Yes, we are. Even though we had an exciting 15-minute conversation off mic about, crazy war. We found Peter and I are connecting on our military
I'm getting educated on the
history
military
background. But yeah, we're a little, I'm surprised we got more energy than what I was expecting us to have.
Yeah,
Maybe we're doing a good job faking it.
Yeah, I would agree. We're both high routine people. I love vacation. It was a great break. Reality kind of set it aside. But coming back, I like to get right back into routine. That's not always easy. So with three littles, but we had a great, you went on a cruise
Yep.
over Halloween.
Sometimes, I always joke all parents say this, you need
a vacation.
You need a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah. I told Luke, I'm like, now we need a vacation because that was a trip. Like we were in charge of the kids all the time. Now me and you need to go
It
somewhere.
does make you appreciate, or, for me, my situation, I guess everyone's, thinks their way, but I always appreciate my individual time with Chelsea too. I love my kids and so fun, but there's, you still need that connection with just your spouse without the kids. And,
that's important for the kids.
It makes us just, okay, what are we doing next?
Yeah.
And then,
what's our turn next?
Yeah.
We did the same thing on the way home. I'm like, so where are we
scheming,
going?
Yeah. Scheming where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So.
Canton was a little scared on this ship.
Yeah, we spent Halloween on a cruise ship, which was really, really cool.
What were you guys again?
We were cops and robbers. So I'll have to have Alexa post that on social media. It was a big hit on the cruise ship because Canton and Kale were both the cops. Chelsea and I were dressed in little robber outfits.
You guys were
so
the robbers.
It was a hit on the cruise ship. A lot of people, shockingly, I didn't know if there'd be all kinds of people candy handing out and costumes. And
people go big for
Canton
Halloween.
was free. There was a Pennywise costume that was very realistic, and he lost his mind.
Peter's dang.
It was very funny though. Kale and I his older brother, were teasing him pretty heavy, and he was like, it's real to them.
Well, and he's 4.
I felt kind of bad, but it was also really funny. So
yeah, where they're scared, but
he's a little menace, so he deserves it sometimes.
Oh, Canton's sweet. We went to Arizona, and do you know what the K-pop demon hunters are?
Yeah, that's huge
every
right
girl,
now, right? Yeah,
every girl
huge.
was a K-pop demon hunter. So were me and my girls. They had me be one.
And the boys were baseball players, right?
Yeah. Woo, original.
Real original. I know that's a class. I was.
But they had Arizona, jerseys. And we were in Arizona. Everyone was complimenting.
Everyone loved the Diamondbacks.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen the video? There's a little kid Freddie Freeman, who is a first baseman for the Dodgers now. He used to play for
who won it all?
The Atlanta Braves. And when he was in Atlanta, he was taking one of his children out trick-or-treating, and there was a kid dressed as Freddie Freeman.
I saw this.
And he came out to me, he's like, hey, I like that jersey. He goes, that's my name and that's my number.
Yeah.
And the kid,
I saw that video.
I thought it was really, really cute. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So
I love when you see sports and famous people do stuff.
I was either, I think maybe one year I was a cop or military, and then I was a football player every year.
That's such a boy thing. We saw so many boy
That's
football
all I ever
players.
was.
I was an actual baseball one year. Not a baseball player.
Just the baseball?
A baseball.
Did someone have a bat as the other person?
Nope.
It's the bald head, right? Were you bald then too? No.
Have you, I saw a really good parent. They had their kids over. They were 6 and 7 because all the kids go 6, 7.
Oh my God.
And one parent was a 6, 7. My kids the whole trip 6, 7.
Canton does it all the time. And
yes, I don't get it.
6, 7, 6, 7. I'm like, oh my God,
funny.
this is so ridiculous. So he does it all the time. So we did in the elevator, and there'd be 6, 7.
Your little golf scoreboard in the back. You're in your Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collie kept changing everything to 6, 7. I'm like, oh, you're funny.
The kids, that's just a wave of momentum there.
Real quick before we get into it, we had In-N-Out twice. I thought I was going to tell you that.
Love In-N-Out.
I know you do. It was packed. It must be a thing there. Anyways, great milkshake. All right, let's get into it.
Let's go.
So what are we here to do? We're here to educate people on financial decisions. And we're like, what's the best way to educate people? Then see what people are Googling, because that's how people get their information.
Great thing about the internet. You can
AI
find about
Google.
anything.
I Google everything. If I have a question about my kid's scab, I Google it. You know what I mean? So you guys.
Now I AI everything. I don't
Same,
really, but
same.
Google's like, the status or, the traditional way, but I feel like it's kind of being
Cam
replaced.
had like a rash, and I took a picture. I was like, is this a rash or a sunburn? And it broke it down and like gave me everything to do. I was like, okay.
A little tip. That is wild. You can take I was trying to find a filter.
Sidebar.
I was trying to find a filter for something, and I took a picture of, it was a humidifier. And I was trying to find the filter, and I just took a picture on Google Gemini or one of them, whatever it was.
ChatGPT.
And it immediately pops up a link to purchase.
And it'll give you like 3 different options.
I'm like, that's so crazy that, or like, hey, what type of flower is that?
So when we were in Arizona, I ChatGPT'd. I was like, what neighborhood would you go trick or treat? And it goes, park between these 2 roads. You can see the mountain. The houses are a nice neighborhood. It's all cul-de-sacs, so you can get close things. We went into the neighborhood. It was perfect. I know.
I feel like, you and I obviously know, like, we know the advantages and we've been utilizing it. There's so many people you ask, like, hey, are you using it? And they're not yet. So
I know.
So, which is, crazy to me, but also tells you the
need
adoption.
an AI sponsor.
Yeah, I know. We should find one, right? Hey, sponsor the podcast.
We talk about you all the time.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, these are the top 20 Googled financial questions. We're going to go through them quick because we're just going to answer them. So here we go. How can I save money fast?
So this is number one.
Yeah.
Right. Number one.
What does that tell you?
Yeah. I mean, it's
people want savings.
Yeah. And they want it right now.
Yeah.
Right. And that's always the tough thing, right? Is generally, to get a good savings or to hit your goals, especially in the financial world, unless you got a super high income, it does take some time, right? And, you can't out budget bad habits.
I was going to say, I would say if you want to save money fast, this is really like behavior. Like, what can we really cut down very quickly, and how much do we make, and where can we save it?
Generally, if you go through, like, you just export your banking onto Excel spreadsheet, and, you have it of like your food, beverage, coffee, subscriptions, you can go through and be like, okay, I can save $100 right now just by maybe buying 2 coffees less a month and canceling whatever subscription service it might be. And right there, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take that $100 that I was spending on subscriptions. I'm gonna immediately move it to emergency savings or an investment bucket, whatever it might be.
I would definitely say you gotta track what you spend, and even just do a 7-day audit. Find something like you can cut out 10% of it. It makes a difference. Now, if you want to save a big amount of money, it's gonna be more than just skipping coffees. Like if you have an $800 truck payment, and you don't need that truck, and if you're really in a pinch, maybe you have to think downsizing.
That meets the.
That's crazy what car payments are.
Everyone wants everything fast, right? That's the world.
It's the world we live in. Apple Pay.
It's tough. It's tough to
take Apple Pay off your phone if you want to save money.
You have to. This world's delayed. Delayed gratification.
And it is always more rewarding. It really is. Okay, how much should I have in savings? Go ahead.
This is. I'm not surprised that this is something that does come up quite a bit, especially when I'm meeting with new investors, new clients, or people that are just needing some help. They either don't know anything about emergency savings, or they're aware. Most people are aware, like, hey, I should have something. Unfortunately, the stats say a lot of people do not. But anywhere in general, the
norm is 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months, pretty normal. Generally, I would say. If you have a family, other people relying on your income, you probably need to be more on the heavier end, like 6 months. Yeah. Absolutely. If it's just yourself and you're like, oh, I can, go without getting groceries one week and I'll be fine.
Peter's just hanging out for a couple months. Yep. He's,
you probably don't. You can be a little more aggressive on that and have only 3 months, right? But you should fall somewhere in between. Generally think of, hey, real bad, health things, different accidents. 3 to 6 months, you're probably going to be through. I mean, obviously, there's always a catastrophic thing, but you'll be through some type of down period. You get laid off and you reapply for jobs. Generally, you should be able to find a job in that time period. I
also think if you feel like your job's very secure, you have a salary that leaner. But if you're like self-employed and your incomes fluctuate and life changes,
more variable income,
then have a little more. Because then if you have a couple of bad months, you have a little more spending. But remember, this is we're not talking. We don't want to oversave this either, because then you want to put your cash to work. Like I have some people that are like, oh, I have 80, 90,000 in emergency, and I'm like, okay, what's your emergency? That's 80,000 when you have no debt.
Like I have 6 years of emergency savings.
Yeah. So you also
there's a balance there.
Yeah. And I think it's how secure you feel. It's always emotional too. So definitely 3 months at the minimum.
Okay. All right. Number 3. How do I start investing?
Ooh, this is good.
Baileigh, how do I start investing?
Call Baileigh Ashbrook. No, I can't do that. I think knowing, number one, where you're at, and if you want to start investing, start now. Don't wait. Like, I feel like a lot of people are always like, I want to time the market. It's just start contributing, automate it, put in an index fund, get them, you know what I mean? Get with an advisor.
It's very, very easy to get started, right?
Yes.
Now, if you're not comfortable and you don't know, obviously you can talk to someone like us or an advisor, whoever it is, but there's no excuse for the accessibility. It's very available to you to be able to open up an account online or through one of the many various platforms that are available. So you can't use that as an excuse, right?
Yes.
Of getting started. And that's where, we have a lot of people that just don't take that first step. The first step's, hey, let's either
Once you
educate.
start doing it,
yeah.
It's such a second thing hand
and make it systematic.
I would say this too, if you are doing it on your own, like maybe you have a smaller account and you're like, I just want to get somewhere. And let's say you go to open a Roth on someone, you're just putting $100 in. Also make sure you're actually buying investments. Like a lot of people.
We do have that happen a lot.
Yeah. I've had people where they don't. And I think now the apps are so intuitive. They recommend stuff, but you still have to go in and purchase what you're investing in.
Like we've had people that set up like, I got a Roth IRA and I've been putting $100 a month in, but it's just it's all going to an insured account and you never placed a mutual fund buy or an index fund buy.
Yeah, you actually have to purchase what
that
you're
actually
investing.
happens a lot.
Yeah, so if you are doing it on your own, and that's why some people just like to work with someone because they're like, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to manage it. It's just automate it. Please help me select what I should be investing in. So, what is the best investment right now? Koljaski number 4. Crypto?
This is interesting that this is the number 4 on the list.
Yeah, but I think it's because of crypto probably.
Yes, in the trends, right? People chase trends, and that's like the message boards, the online persona of like, think we went through the meme stocks where it was like the AMC or different ones where people would kind of crowd invest and they
chase trends.
And really those are, you can always hit a home run.
Stock.
Yeah, you can always hit a home run doing something, but it can go to zero just as fast. And really thinking of creating long-term financial success, it's more about, and I again, using my sports analogies, it's hitting singles and doubles and being consistent. So finding something that you can do, for a very long time, especially if you're a younger investor or just getting started, it's easy as an index fund. I mean, those are things very simple that doesn't take a lot to do. You don't have to have a lot of money to get started. And chasing the trends is generally going to be, you're going to either hit a home run and then the next 10 you lose all your money on, or it never works, right? Or you
consistency is the key.
Or you do it one time, you lose, you put $1,000 in, you lose $800. You're like, I'm never doing this again, right? It's like that. Those are the things versus the index funds, a little bit more diversified investments. They will keep you, the psychology behind it will keep you invested for a much longer period of time.
I will also say this: if you don't understand what you're investing in, if you couldn't explain it to someone, maybe don't buy it. You know what I mean? You got to think you're purchasing companies, you're purchasing items to invest in, businesses to invest in. Maybe understanding them, I think, is important.
It's always good to ask this question yourself. What do I own? Right?
Yes.
What do I own?
And
or
why?
What is it? Yeah. And why do I own it? And it's like, well, and that's okay. Where if it is like your mad money or your gambling money, you want to go put $1,000 on Bitcoin or do,
or you find a business that you think's
something off the wall that you want to. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not. That's not
long term.
Yeah, it's not hurting the other side of your long term portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Number 5. It's always interesting what people are Googling. Should I pay off debt or invest?
Yeah,
situational.
So situational, right? And you definitely got to look, one, what's your cash flow situation, right? So obviously, if you've got debt and you don't really have any extra, you really don't have, you have no choice but to pay your debt off. But if I think this comes into our world a lot more when someone has a lump sum of whether maybe they received a small inheritance or they got a bonus at work or whatever. Like, hey, should I pay off this 7% debt or should I invest it? I think it really depends on what the debt is, how long you're going to have it there. And then how disciplined can you be, right?
Yes. I was going to say, this is always so behavioral to me.
Some people will get that lump sum like, I'm going to invest it. But really only a quarter of the money gets invested. The rest gets spent or you go on vacation, you bought a new car, whatever it might be. And that's where I think if you're less disciplined, that, do the more predictable thing of just let's pay the debt down because it's gone. It's gone and then I can't get that money back.
And I always think this too, look at it like, okay, if I have credit card debt or a car loan that's 10%, like think about what you have to make in the market to actually get returning when you're paying that down. You know what I mean? Like it's always a compare interest game to like return games, but also there is some sort of freedom. You feel like you have a heavier cash flow. Once you get some of that debt paid down, you can start investing more, and you know, it's all situational.
All right. Number 6, how do I make money online?
Ooh,
sports betting? just
Actually, I just had this conversation with someone sports betting because it's crazy the statistics of young men betting online.
Yeah, it's
obviously
wild.
That's who's
it's scary.
And it was like 89. I don't know, don't quote me, but it was over 80% lose most of the time. So I just want everyone to understand there's a reason they can pay for those ads that they're paying. It's because they got your money, you know?
I think people need to be very aware. Right. There's a lot of little ways, you know, teaching, you know, influencers, selling things, you know, like marketplace, whatever it is.
I definitely think you can monetize.
But I think there's a lot of this like get rich quick stuff out there, right? Too.
It still work.
That's that thing is like still anything that's really worthwhile is probably going to take some time and effort.
Yes. I do know there's like things online where you can like go do reviews or, you know, work online and make some part-time income if you really want to. But I think that's interesting. I bet more and more people Google, how do I make money online? Because you do see the influencers online make significant amount of money and they're trying to get
and everyone's on their phone all the time. So
yeah, I ran into some influencers when we were in Arizona and they have like 5.6 million followers. So they probably do pretty well as well.
I always wonder,
it's always based on your following.
I've never, you know, went down the rabbit hole enough to know like, hey, what dictates how much you get paid from the platforms or you know, by brands. You know, some of it's they get paid by the brand.
It's usually brands, like, so, and they get, you know, there are some like who have, you know, over 1 million.
Like they just do a post on the brand.
So they'll post like a product and they'll get 30,000 just to post their product 3 times or something like that. But again, you have to have.
Peter, are those deals coming to us?
I mean, yeah.
The check's in the mail.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But yeah. And obviously, if you need to make extra money, there's more than just online options, you know? Don't be afraid to get a part-time job. All right. Number 7. Cole, what's a good credit score?
Yeah, 740 will open up most doors, right? You'll have most things available. You're going to get the better end of rates if you're applying for credit cards, whatever it might be. But that's, you know, again, just a basic number, you know, and again, there's kind of depends on what you're looking to do, but you know, big things to think about are, you know, are you carrying that have an impact on this, right?
Basically, it's the debt you're paying down.
Yeah, are you carrying balances on credit cards month over month? Is your utilization super high, or say you're 90% balance, you have $1,000 credit limit and you're running a $900 balance? It's not going to have a good impact on your score. Payment history is huge, right? That's a big thing. Having late payments, missing a mortgage payment. You know, those things are things that I would say, yes, credit utilization is not good, but the late payments are the things that, and that's a lot of times just like, oh, I forgot to submit the payment, or I didn't automate it, right? Automate, make sure at least you're paying the minimum, or you have something set up to pay the minimum. Don't miss. We obviously don't want people to carry credit card or excess balances, but reality is life happens and it does happen.
Why do you think that's what they're Googling? Like, what do you think people are wondering why they need a good credit score? To buy a mortgage, you think that's why it's Googled? Yeah,
mortgage is probably, I would say, for younger people.
Yeah, I would say
mortgage would be probably number 1. I was trying to think of what else would be. I mean, because really you need a good credit score to get a credit card and get approved, but it's like you're not going to really you're just going to try to apply for the credit card and then go, right? But the more times you apply for different things too, it also can, you know, if you're applying a bunch, it'll have a negative impact on there. I would say mortgage probably primarily especially for younger people as they're getting into the professional world, you know, that's
they're just kind of high for number 7, I thought. So I was just wondering. Oh, the biggest question, everyone, I feel like we get, how much money do I need to retire, Cole?
Yeah, this, you know, people ask this, like, how am I doing? Right. And I always think, when people ask this question or people Googling it, you really need to self-reflect of like, well, what do I want?
And what are you used to spending a year?
Yeah. And that's the more important thing. It's not like because what you're going to get when you Google it, it's going to be an average of, it's going to take, well, I live in the Midwest. What's the average person in the Midwest need but that might not be you. You might live in New York and it might be a lot more California or whatever it is. But you also might say, hey, I want to retire at 50 or 65.
Yes.
Big difference of what you need to have saved between those two numbers.
And where do you want to live? Do you want to, you know, move south? Do you want to travel in retirement? Are you just going to stay home? Like it's very situational.
I think people want to do some napkin math, right? So take, you know, you can take a couple numbers. Find what your income is that you want to have.
So if I'm living off 60,000.
Yep. So 60,000, and then you can go and take, $1 million, $2 million and do a 3%, take that number times 3%. Does it produce that income? And what that's called is a distribution rate, right? So 3% is really conservative. We think for sure you're going to maintain, say you have $1 million, you're taking 3%, it's $30,000 a year. So for 60,000, you would need $2 million. And that means that we think you're going to maintain and maybe grow that $2 million while producing $60,000 to yourself. Now, if you're like, well, that number is now 5, 6, 7%, that's pretty aggressive. You're taking more risk on that money that, hey, likelihood it's going to go down in value. So it just kind of depends on how much, you're looking
You're planning to distribute.
The income is the most important thing. Income and time, right, is the most important thing.
And are you going to work a little? Do you really need that much? It's all income based, I would say.
All right, this piggybacks right onto it.
Okay.
Number 9. How can I retire early?
Meet with Cole and Baileigh. That's just like answer to every question. I'm just kidding. I would say start investing sooner the better. Get a plan. I think everyone in their mind wants to. It's so funny. I think everyone in their mind wants to retire early, which I get for a lot of people. If you're working like I'm thinking of one client who works at a factory, does the same thing every day. I get it. Like he wants to be out there by like 50, 55. We talk about have a couple bridge accounts. You got to be able to access.
People want the
money.
Choice,
yes.
right? I think if you would ask I think 99% of the people would say, not are you going to retire early or stop working, but do you want the choice to retire early?
Yes.
Right. I think that's then they get to say yes or no. Most people would say yes to that, right? No matter what their situation, even if they love, they're like, I'm going to work till I'm 95 and I'm going to die working, right? They'd still want that choice.
It's mental.
Yep.
But you do have to invest aggressively. If you do seriously want to not, let's say you get to 55 and you're like, I'm done. I don't want to work. You do have to invest aggressively. You got to invest outside of retirement accounts that you can access. You got to have a plan.
If you want to do this, you want to retire early, you need to be very intentional about what you're doing. Okay, I'm 55 as my number. What are the steps I need to do? And maybe I can't accomplish them all right now, but the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and let's get to that 5-year period where, hey, if I get to this by year 5 and I'm saving this rate, I'm making this amount of dollars, I can make this work, right? I think it takes the people that retire early, either get lucky and, get a big inheritance, or they're very well planned and they just say, hey, I know what I want.
There are people
I know what I want and I'm going to take these steps because I did the research, I've planned, and now let's execute it. And if you stay disciplined to it, you can do it. And it's, it's not unrealistic for people.
And just know why you're wanting to do it, and then you'll stay focused on that. But number 10, how much house can I afford? Ooh.
Yeah, this is probably, I'm surprised this isn't more like up higher on the list.
Me too. And I'm not taking this negatively, but I do think some people think they can afford a lot more, or they put more money of their income percentage towards their home.
Way too much.
Like, it's just house poor is what they call it.
Yep. Way too much. This is people, unfortunately, that have bought in the last couple of years. We saw house prices go up and we've seen interest rates, a higher interest rate environment comparative to the previous 5 years. So not only was your house higher, your principal and interest you're paying was much higher.
If I make 100%, or if I make 100K a year and 40% of that's going to my house, that's pretty steep.
Yeah. If you get above, 25% of your gross income. So think, if you're making $10,000 a month gross, so that's before taxes. And if your payment is, your payment really should be $2,500 or less. And that should be your taxes, principal and interest. And the downfall with that though, right now, you go do the math and in Fort Dodge, that could get you still a decent house, but you get in some more populated areas, you start backing into what's a $2,500 payment does not get you a lot of house. And I think this is one thing, especially if you're a younger listener or someone, it's okay to rent and it is okay. I know you might feel like you're throwing money, but I think it's worse to get into a decision where you're then committed to a house. A house, when you own a house, it's not super easy to just unwind and redo that decision.
And everyone thinks, oh, well, I'm losing equity, which I understand this, but also when you buy a house comes bigger responsibility. So if
furnace
that
goes out, the roof, whatever it is.
And if you don't have that money, now you're stressed. Like if you're renting something cheaper, you can be saving and investing that money for a future payment.
I mean, if you have a $500,000 house, you better have, $20,000, $25,000 of reserve funds that, hey, if $500,000 house, a roof, 50, it can be 25,
plumbing
30
issues, they're spending.
Yes, any of that stuff. So those things come when you rent. You just get a call to landlord and say, hey, my toilet doesn't work, or hey, I got a plumbing issue, I got a water leak, or my water heater went out, whatever it might be. It's okay. And I think people have gotten a rush to get to home ownership.
Their dream home is what I was going to say.
Which in the US, that's still, our net worth, a lot of people's net worth, their primary asset is their home, which that's, the status quo American dream. But I disagree with that concept for the most part. I think the situation needs to be right. And I also think we make decisions too fast.
I was just going to say that you can tell when people buy from a place of power where they take their time, they get a good deal because they're not rushing versus the people that something gets on the market, they got to have it. It's their Zillow fantasy dream home.
The bright, shiny object.
Yes. And they, put not enough down. They got P&I, and it's just a whole thing. You want to be able to enjoy your home. So this is what I was going to say. You got to know how much money you're making, and you got to know your budget, and you got to know how much you have left over and what percentage of your income that would be. So
this parlay is right into number 11. Sorry, I didn't even know this, but I was should I rent or buy?
Situational.
Very situational. And again, I think your default could always be to rent. Yes, you're going to be out some money on the rent, that you paid, because you're never getting any of that back. Because when you buy a house, you pay your principal and interest on your mortgage. You're technically gaining equity in that house. But you really just need to be, especially if you're younger, right, where you're transitioning from rent to buyers, right? If you're already an owner, you're going to own, already own a house. You're going to you might just be upgrading. You're not probably going back to renting. But if you're in that renting stage or you're deciding whether to rent or buy, you need to make sure, hey, if I am buying, I'm committed.
I'm going to be here.
I'm going to be committed here for a while. I can afford it.
That's what I was just going to say too. If you're like trying out a new city or new area, don't go just like, let's say you got a new job and you're moving to Texas, just don't go buy a house, because what if you end up hating that neighborhood and hating that house? Like, it's okay to take a year to rent and save some money, and really, because when you buy, it's a commitment.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Ooh, look at the switch up.
Oh, I love it. Reverse roles today.
Yeah, we are. I'm doing dollars and cents, which is weird because Cole's the nerd. But I was thinking we just both went on vacation. A lot of people, that's a big goal. They want to always do a vacation.
Give us some vacation numbers. I know
we're
you got them.
Yep. Well, how much are people spending in America on vacation? According to Square,
the Googler.
According to Square AI. Where's my sponsor? According to Square Mouth, which tracks travel insurance purchase, the average vacation in 2025 costs $7,249 per person, like per family, up nearly 25% from last year. But these are like big trips, like cruises,
bougie trips.
Cole J. Hawaii.
We said this before.
Hawaii,
Peter
not your
like,
average.
No. He's like, I vacation for $27.
Yeah, I'm like add 5 kids or 3 kids, and
Yes, add a couple kids. It doesn't take much. Taking them to In-N-Out in Arizona.
Now, a mid-range trip for America. So if you're not doing like the cruise, the international, it is. Let me break this down. It's around $3,000 to $4,000. Arizona.
That seems more like what
realistic.
I was thinking. Yeah.
So if I broke that down, flights. Let's say my trip. I'm not giving you my numbers, but these are just, a average breakdown. Family total, 12 to 1,800 flights, 1,000 to 2,000 lodging, transportation, 350 to 500, food per day, 200, activities, 200 to 500, all the extras, 300. So really total range, 3,000 on the low end, 3,000, mid range, 4,000, high end, 6,000 to 600, according to them.
Is that about what you thought?
Yeah, I would. It's always situational, how you do everything. I think even
how many kids you have?
Today's episode, it's so situational. Like when I go on vacation, I don't spend like I spend normally throughout the year. Like to me, it's vacation. If I want to get a $10 coffee, it's vacation. I'm gonna go get a $10.
You're intentional about it.
Right? Yeah. I really enjoy my vacations. If you're going on a cruise.
Like Cole P having to, having his boy, he's got an older boy.
I think I'm going to eat.
Yeah, they eat like adults, as your kids get older too. It's like, oh, now I'm taking 2 adults, 2 children. But once they get older and you're going, it's like, well, now I got 4 adults.
I know. And I would also look at this too as like, okay, we went to if you don't know, Cole has an Airbnb, we stayed at it. My kids could have swam there all day and did maybe hardly anything and still had a great time. I think it's like really being intentional of what you want your vacation to be like. Where we did the zoo, we did some activities, Legoland.
Because there's a lot of people that would go on, a camping. I'm not like an outdoors person. I like my golf courses and my nice amenities, but there are a lot of people who can go on vacation and like, we can vacation really cheap because one, we go to the grocery store, get a bunch of groceries, and then we're outdoors. We're at a lake.
If it's just me and Luke and we're hiking in the morning, it's all situational. I think that's about right though. A cruise. I do see why it's getting more expensive to travel though.
Yeah,
flights are getting
flights. Any train, even like the Ubers, like from things. I when I was going through, we Ubered from the airport to a hotel to. Yeah, I'm like it was like $50-$60, and it's about 15 minutes, and I'm like, good grief, we just spent $200 just on
you know what?
Ubers.
So you're gonna die. We got to Arizona. I did Turo where you can rent a car, and I took pictures of my ID before we got on the plane. I turned my phone on plane mode. I get off. He's like, hey, your driver's license expired by like 8 days. I was like, oh my God, it is. I was like, can I just switch?
Didn't you need the real ID to get on the plane?
Okay, so I thought the same thing. They let me on. I AI'd it. They said they're usually accept it within like 6 months. It was like freshly expired because my birthday 10/10. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm messaging the guy. I'm like, well, this sucks. Can I just switch it? Add my husband as driver? He goes, no, you got to cancel the whole thing and rebook it. Long story short, I didn't get the rate I had because it was last minute booking.
Right?
Yeah. So it cost me on there $162 just to switch to Luke. I was so at myself. Sorry if you need to bleep that, but I was like $160 out the window. So I told Luke, and the car is already parked at the airport. I'm like, you guys are leaving it here for me. There's a car seat for my kid in it. There's nothing changing. This is
because they do it all through the app.
Yeah, I was hotter than a pistol.
That's a bummer.
But anyways, I think knowing what you're going to spend average on a day and the little things add up. But yeah, that's just good to know. I think if you want to, if you want to go on a Halloween cruise, it's going to be more than Arizona.
That's true.
All right.
Number 12, back to our list of the top 20 most Googled questions. What's an emergency fund and where should it be? We talked about this a little bit earlier.
I love how you introed that. That was great.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
I know you normally do all the intros. That's why.
That.
Normally I'm like just the gabber and you're the host.
That was like,
It's kind of fun.
Emergency fund is exactly what it sounds like. It is money set aside for an emergency. Not a new car, not a new couch.
Not my Bitcoin.
Not Bitcoin, not a dog. Even though if you need a rescue one, I could defy that as an emergency. But it's really like Cole can't work. Luke can't plumb for 2 weeks. He broke his leg. Well, he would be off work way longer than 2 weeks. But you know what I'm saying? The roof fell in. We got in a car accident. Those are emergencies. Kid's sick.
It needs to be separate.
Yes.
Right? I think that's an important thing of like, you need to have, you can't say, oh, I got one account at, XYZ bank and it's all my checking, but really 5,000 I use for my operating or, my bills. And I have 20,000 that's my, but sometimes it'll go to 17 or, whatever it might be, depending on my spending. No, we want to see a separate account that's really,
it
should not be touching it.
It's a pro tip. It should not be accessible in one day. Like make it into an account, a high yield saving or a money market where you need a day to transfer it and don't have it. Like this is, if I give anyone a tip on emergency fund, like if you bank at XYZ bank, don't have it there. Go to a separate institute, an online one, a high yield saving, a money market with your advisor, something else where you can't just get into it. Cause it's emotional, right? Like something comes up, you need 24 hours to think about, is this an emergency? Do I need this money? Okay. This one's definitely for Cole J. Number 13, how do taxes work?
Well,
that's interesting that people Google that.
It is. It's so I'll say one misconception on taxes, right? You hear people say, oh, I pay 22%, federal income tax. And there's a difference between, what tax bracket you're in and your, what's called effective rate, right? Because if you Google tax rates, right? Federal income tax rates, it's tiered based on, okay, from 0 to this dollar amount, you pay this percentage, 0, from that amount, so on and so forth. So you pay a little bit different rates as your income goes up, and then you top out at, when you make over 500,000 or something, you top out at this rate. Everything above that is that. Mm-hmm. So it's an average rate, so you get to a point where, okay, yes, I'm in the 22% bracket, but really on average, if I average up my all the brackets I went through, I'm 17%. So my effective rate, that would be 17%. So you could Google what's my effective rate, and you could do the math based on how, if you looked at your tax return. But really, what it goes, most people, they just pay their taxes through their W-2 job, or if you get paid every week. You have a state, depending on what state you're in, you have your federal withholding. For Iowa, we have our state withholding, and it gets deducted. Your employer takes it out of your paycheck, and they send it to, to the IRS, or
who knows what they're doing with it.
Yeah, hopefully they're sending it right. And then when you get your W-2,
Peter thought that was funny.
that's where your reconciliation happens, right? You get your W-2, you take it to your tax person, or if you file, you go online, you put all the information in, and here's how much I made. Here's how much I withheld. Here's how much I put in my 401k.
Know your withholdings. Yeah. Know your withholdings. Like, understand if you're getting these big fat tax checks back at the end of the year, that's not free money. That was your money they were taking the whole time. Like, understanding, yes, if you want to do that because it's like, oh, it's how I save money. But that's your money anyways. You could have been using it, investing it all year. Like,
I cringe. I won't do this. So some people are like proud.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like rain on
I get like a $8,000 refund.
I don't want to rain on their parade. Yeah, I don't want to rain on the parade. So, but I'm like, there was just $8,000 you should have had, or you should have been able to save. That's over $500 a month that you could have invested. They put in an investment account, made compound interest insteed. You're
waiting for them to give it back.
Government's great stewards of our money, aren't they, Peter? That they could invest it.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what to say.
Too stunned. But I also think too, knowing like deductions, like the people who maximize the situations on taxes are the people that are doing the deductions, structuring their income. It's like, don't just wait till the end of the year to be like, oh, these are my withholdings. Now I owe in, or now I get a big fat refund. Just, you know what I mean? I'm
using your intentional word.
I love
that's your word. That's your word that you always use. But this is, again, intentionality of, hey, you want to be better with money. These are the little things that compound to make you successful.
And the little things are the big things. So, okay. Number 14. Interesting. I truly feel like people act like the stock market is like this, elite understanding thing. Like, maybe it's because I talk to a lot of women about it, like friends are like, I just don't understand the stock market. I'm like, it's not that confusing. So the question is, how does the stock market work?
Yeah. So let's just use common stock. So if you're a stockholder, or if you own, let's say, Apple stock, you're technically an owner of that company, that you're a part, they're publicly traded. So they have shares that are available in the open market, and you can go and purchase. And when you have 100 shares of Apple, you are considered an owner of that company.
It's a marketplace for ownership.
One thing that I think is a misunderstanding or hard to confuse is a lot of times the price really is, so you see a stock go up, right? There's people buying it, or there's more buyers than sellers, right? So the price is then moving up, but really the price is a prediction of future earnings is really what it is. It's forecasting and right now we're going through one of the primary earnings seasons for stocks. So you flip on one of the, news channels, they'll say, oh, Apple reported its earnings, of the last quarter. And they're always talking about the previous quarter. What was their earnings per share? Did they meet the revenue expectations? Did they meet, whatever expectations or metrics that particular company is putting out? And then they'll do some type of forecasting. Generally, the CFO will come on their what's called their quarterly conference call, and they'll say, "Hey, we're projected at this, EPS or earnings per share." And generally, there's some type of valuation that the market historically puts on that type of company. So if you're a tech company, and we're seeing, we're talking about NVIDIA's, right? They have these super high earnings multiples where they look very high valued, but the market is saying, hey, we're giving them credit because we think there is going to be significant growth in the future, right? Yes. And that's when you see these stocks go off the wall. Sometimes the small names can just be like, there was a really, really large institutional buyer and it can move a small name, but like a NVIDIA to move at the rate it's been moving, there is massive buying across the board.
Because everyone thinks that's going to...
Yeah, and they're giving it credit saying, hey, this company, the business model is unbelievable and it needs, it should trade at a higher valuation. Now, there are times where, right, companies get overvalued. The market's like, ooh, this isn't doing as as well as we thought. It needs to have you kind of a pullback and get in line with its normal metrics or normal earnings multiple. Very, I would say sophisticated detail on the pricing, mechanisms on it. But again, ultimately comes back to you're an owner of that company.
It's a marketplace to own companies.
Yep. And it's a supply demand thing.
Yes. And when you say you don't understand the market, it's not a casino. It's a marketplace. The price is going to fluctuate and you don't lose the money. unless you sell. You know what I mean? So it's a place to invest.
You need to know what you own, though.
Yes.
When you get in the individual stock world, you need to know what you own and be comfortable holding it for a meaningful period of time.
And be comfortable, you know what that ownership of a business could entail. You know what I mean? I know there's value-based investing and all that for some people, but just knowing, again, what you own and why. Okay. Number 15, what's inflation? Why does it matter? No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say something funny.
What were you going to say?
I was going to have to get bleeped.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is, let's put it a simple way. It's generally the cost of goods going up.
That's
things, historically we use in the planning world, 2.5-3% inflationary rate. That's saying, hey, if we look, next year, if the goods are probably going to cost 2-3-4% more.
That's when gas goes up.
So relaying that back to retirement planning, if you're, you're 60 and you're planning for I think I'm going to live to 90, it's going to be much different, that 100,000 you need at age 60 to what you're probably going to need at age 90, right? Because you've got inflation over 30 years.
And this is why we talk about not hoarding so much cash.
Yep. And that's why, again, having some risk on your dollars or the ability to outpace inflation is very important. Right?
You hear that, back in the day, it was like, how much do you need to retire? $1 million. Now people are like, 2 million. You know what I mean? Because the cost of what living is going to be. I mean, think about housing over the last 10 years.
And the younger you are, if you want to kind of scare yourself, like take like, say you're 30 and you're like, hey, I need 120,000 net after taxes. Go say, hey, inflate that out to age 80. What is that dollar amount? And I don't know what the math is, but it might be like 350,000 or something crazy. And you're like, what?
Yes.
But that's where you look back. Even I was kind of I always use this math of when I was in high school. I started driving 14. I was 14. I lived in, I got in school from it. I lived in the country. So I was like one of the first ones
breaking
driving.
rules.
Yep. I could fill up. I had a Nissan pickup, stick shift, single cab pickup. I could fill that thing up for like $16.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, man, I could take a $20 bill. A $20 bill would get me through the week.
Yes.
Right. And now I'm like, well, it's $80. And I got to fill those. I got a much bigger truck and not as good a gas mileage, but
insurance is up, tags are up.
Way different of the cost. And that's just like small, short period of inflation of like, when you always hear like our grandparents, well, a gallon of milk was a nickel at the store,
when I say what I spent on eggs, they're like, what? I'm like, they're the good stuff,
Yeah, those are easy things though, because most people are buying milk, eggs. You can compare that. You remember, well, at one point a gallon of milk was 99 cents.
These were simpler times when I'd get $10, put it in the car, drive around with my friends, and that was my Friday night. I'm like, dang, that's a
simple answer of inflation. That's what inflation is.
Yeah. So just know it and be aware of it. Okay. This is number 16. How do I make a budget work? That works. Do it. Okay. Next question. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to do this one.
I would just say you got to know what you make, I think, and you got to know what you spend, and you got to track it, and don't overcomplicate it. You have your little top section. This is how much money I'm bringing in a month. How much am I spending on house, mortgage, insurance, water, internet, groceries, all the things. You list everything out you spend monthly, discretionary, non-discretionary spending, and you see how much is left over.
It's your own personal profit and loss statement, right?
You're just assigning your money to where it's going, and it's already going there anyway, so you might as well know how much you're spending. So this is why you don't get into the credit card situation. You don't get to December and it's Christmas and you didn't save extra. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, this question's tough because, how do I make a budget work? Discipline.
Yeah.
Right. That's probably one of the hardest things. Is most people, you have to be disciplined, and it takes discipline to make it work.
I will say, once you start doing a budget consistently, everyone usually loves doing it because they want to know where their money's going. I think Peter's looking at me like, well, are you sure about that? No, I'm just kidding. But budgets are not traps. Like, they're not restricting. It's just awareness. It's an awareness of where your money's going. Okay. Number 17, what insurance do I really need?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're required to have health insurance, right? So you have to have, the government.
It's a little touchy right now.
Yeah. This is a sensitive topic. Yes. So I don't want to get down that road too much, but most people, if you own a car, you're going to be required to have, or you have to have, car insurance to drive. You have to have, home insurance if you own a house or I guess you don't have to, but if you own a house or have a mortgage on it, mortgage company is going to require you to have insurance, life insurance.
If you're young and you have debt and you have kids, I literally, we manage a bunch of 401ks. I'm always like in their 30s, 40s. I'm like, so do you have term life insurance? Like, I just, you know what I mean? That's one thing. Like, if you love your family, put that on a priority. I think that's an easy one people put off until too late.
If you're young, and the people that are Googling this are probably younger, right? The best time to get life insurance is when you're younger.
Yes.
Because it's the your most cost effective time
you're locking in what you're paying for the next 20, 30 years. So, ooh, I like this one. I would probably Google this. How do I teach my kids about money?
Yeah, this is, we need to talk about this more, right? In the world. I think this is where
I think people are like, well, why doesn't school teach them? Why don't you teach them? You're responsible for them. I don't want school teaching about my money. I want me to teach them.
That's a bad thing. Like, think of parents saying that, of like,
I'm not saying it can't be
expecting the school to do more. No, we need to do more as parents, and that's
more is caught than taught.
And it doesn't have to be complex, right? It can be as simple as, we had Eddie Thompson talk about his concept, which that's pretty complex, takes organization. Amazing if you can do that, right? And have
so what he's saying, every time he got paid, his kids got paid a certain amount of money. Like, not a lot, but like, they get,
say it was $1, $10.
Yeah, the $10 a paycheck, they get it. Like, they're a part of the family. So if we make income, they make income. But basically they had to save some, do charity with some, and then they could do whatever else. But if they didn't make their bed, then they had to pay someone in the family to make their bed. So
because that was a requirement in their family.
Yep. So if you get paid, then you have to do. So basically, it's teaching them, like, if I want someone else to do something for me, it costs money.
This comes back for me. The most important thing that I think you can have an impact on your kids is delayed gratification.
Yes.
With money and tying it to money. So that's where having those things of like, hey, making them save over a month, right? Hey, I'm going to give you $1 every day, right? If you don't spend any, you can spend it whenever you want, but if you don't spend it for 30 days, I'll give you that $30. I'll actually give you another 10.
Yes.
Right. Those are things that, like, the concept of saving and compounding, right, are super hard to teach, but also they need to have that ability to say, hey, I'm going to not think about this, right? Because I know if I wait, it's going to be better on the back end.
And I think talking about it is like probably the most important. I think there's a lot of shame about not understanding, but simplifying it for kids is, you make money costs things. You got to save some to keep some, contribute to what you think is important, and then only spend when it seems reasonable for you.
I mean, things is like, especially as you're in, it goes in phases, right? Probably younger is maybe purely delayed gratification, starting in
you don't get the toy right away
of compounding, right? Compounding is an important thing to teach, but then it's also like, understanding all the costs associated with things, costs of ownership, right? Costs of owning a house, costs of, hey, buying a car, costs of, you going out for sports. We got to buy your shoes. Yes. We got to buy your uniforms.
Gas,
we got to pay your
hotel,
fees, right?
Just understanding that things cost money and you have to work to make money. And I think a lot of people do the spend, save, give 3-jar method. I think, again, habits, like, right? Spending's habits, start little habits at certain ages, build on that. So number 19, 2 left. What is the best side hustle? The one that you're good at and you enjoy doing that will make you some money.
I think one of the best side hustles out there, if you live in a bigger area, is Uber.
DoorDash.
Uber or DoorDash. Because you can... I was asked the Uber driver. I'm always that guy, like the Uber driver, like this guy.
We had the best Uber
asking, I'm always like, well, okay. And we were in Miami, and most of them are, not from home. They were immigrants or came to the country. A lot of Cubans down there. So I'd ask about, things. And I find it so, they're like, I was asking, like, well, how do you get paid? And they're like, well, you can actually request like an instant pay. You can do a trip.
Really?
You can work a night and say you need money. You can hit the thing, you pay a fee, or you get, they deduct a fee. But I'm like, what a great thing if someone's, maybe not very good with money and they just like, hey, I need a meal. Like, go get, if you got a car, you can go do some drives, get paid right away and go. I was like, I think that's from a, just easiness of doing it. It's pretty easy as long as you got to have a car, obviously, but and get approved on their platform.
There's so many things you can do though. You can deliver Amazon and you get paid packages. Right away. It's crazy.
Uber Eats or DoorDash. Like, I think that's like in our area.
Peter's coming.
Is that a confirmation bias on your part? Because you just see it so much and you think, these guys must be making a bunch of money.
I don't think they're making a bunch.
I don't think they're making a lot of money. I think it's
a nice little side income.
You can turn it on, turn it off, right? It's like an easy thing that complements maybe an ordinary job, right?
Because it's your hours.
I shouldn't say easy. I'm not saying any of their jobs are easy, but it's like, I can take a weekend and maybe I'll pick two weeks. Like, I have a full-time job. I can pick 2 weekends a year. And
set your hours.
I'm going to try to make an extra $500 to save. You can do that and or like, hey, I got sick. I don't want to do it, right? most jobs, like you don't get that ability to start and stop like that. You can in those. And I think that's very useful for people.
Nice. Side hustle. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Yeah. I was laughing because shout out to Luke, who went to college and became a plumber.
Hard on Luke.
Always hard love, good love. Anyways, I side hustled when I sold vitamins online. And you know what?
That was like our age group. It was like all the different selling schemes.
We made about 60,000.
No, I knew a lot of people on
and I was like, that's
the
how
supplements
I paid off the
and
debt.
like sports nutrition stuff. That was
it made sense because I was still just fresh out of sports and all that. But anyways, I would say something, and especially some side hustles. Like I think about even if you're working like a golf court. At the golf course, the golf cart ladies, like think of the connections you make with some people. Sometimes it's not even just about the cash. Like sometimes
bartending.
Bartending. Sometimes side hustles
might not always be the best connections there.
Yeah. It depends who you're connecting. But my point is, you do open doors when they see you working hard. These jobs. So I would think of it that way too. I did look up the average. It's about 25 to 30 an hour for an Uber driver. It's a pretty good side, and like you said, you can turn it off and on.
I think the flexibility of what it is, and you're considered an independent contractor, and I've always found that. I mean, obviously the stock, we were talking about stock ownership. The stock has done very, very well as of recently. They've kind of tuned their business model pretty solid, I think.
I laugh. We don't really DoorDash, but we DoorDashed on vacation a few times. I was like, wow, they really jacked the prices up on DoorDash, these restaurants. The donuts were a little more spendy than when we went into the store.
All the service related industries, definitely we're seeing this like just pass it on to the customer type environment, which is, and then
I'm not trying to be mean. I gotta say this tip world we are now living in is out of control. Like I'm gonna say it, and Hot take, Peter. Why am I I'll tip the driver, but why am I tipping the restaurant to make the food that I'm already paying for? And I was talking to one of the business owners in town, and I asked her because
it's very hitting you in the face too with everything. It's like, do you want to tip?
The cities, and they're looking at, which I'll tip you, obviously. I'll always tip. I'm not saying like waitresses, drivers themselves who's doing the service. I'm just talking about, so I asked a business owner down, and she has a restaurant business, and I'm like, do a lot of people tip when they grab food to go? For example, if they got a coffee and a sandwich and they're spending $19, $20 just on the food, are they tipping? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, I'll have people, they'll sit in my restaurant, they'll order food and tip 20%, and then they'll work, and then they'll order lunch, and then they'll tip 20% more on their lunch, and then they'll buy something, and they'll be like $150 day in my restaurant. And I'm like, wild. I just think it's crazy. I told her, I was like, sorry, I don't tip when I pick it up. I was honest.
I always find that hard too, the to-go things of like when you're tipping or...
I'm driving.
What do you think, Peter?
My least favorite with that is I'll tip if I go pick something up, but when I get home and the food's wrong or it's cold, I get mad.
But tipping is for service. Yeah, tipping's for service. So like someone does your hair, you get a haircut, like the person doing the service. I don't know. I think we're in a very big tip world, which...
In the U.S.
Yeah. The foods are very expensive is what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm on a tangent. Let's get to the last Googled question. It's very vague.
Number 20.
Where do I even start?
So I assume, because, it's where do I start? I haven't did anything. All I do is have a job and I have debt, right? I think always start at the basics. Start with a budget, right?
Pick one goal.
Let's know.
Start with a budget.
Start small and then build your budget and then build your 1, 3, 5 year short-term goals.
Why I always say start with a budget and your asset and liabilities, because you can't really know what to do if you don't know, one, what you're making, what you owe, and where you're at. Like you can't start if you don't know where you're starting from, right? So sit down, do a personal audit. We have so much technology at our fingertips. It's really take your bank statements, plug them into something, let them say, hey, how much are you making? How much are you spending? And start there.
You need to be honest with yourself too, right? I think that's where a lot of people know this is what they got to do. Right? The first step is just like, hey, let's get all the data out there. A lot of people just don't want to know. They won't be honest with themselves because they know like, I'm not making as much as I know, or I'm spending too much. I already know that.
Yes.
Right?
It's like coming to terms with it. I always think it's like a hard conversation. Everyone has times like, you got to have a hard conversation. It's like problem deferred is a problem amplified. The more you defer your financial problems, I'm not saying they're problems, but the more you defer your goals, the more they're going to, longer it takes. Like it's simple little steps. I can't express that enough.
A goal without a plan is just a dream.
Thank you, Peter. That was very wise. So again, these are the top 20 financial question Googled. So you guys are not alone too. If you think you're the only one asking these questions, everyone is asking these questions. So obviously just start, work with an advisor, use the online tools, but just really take control of your plan. Be intentional.
Awesome. Everything negative, pressures, challenges are all an opportunity for me to rise. Kobe Bryant.
Go Cubs. You've been listening to How to Money with Cole and Cole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Cole.
I'm Baileigh.
And I'm Cole.
And we'll see you on the greens. 4.
Security and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.